You know, it feels like only yesterday that the internet was united in collective celebration at the prospect of Kathleen Kennedy finally heading out the door of Lucasfilm for the last time, only to have their hopes dashed by a PR campaign desperate to regain control of the narrative. For now, at least. Hang in there, Kathy. We're all pulling for Acolyte Season 2. But the interesting thing is that for the past 7 years or so, there's actually been a Kathleen Kennedy 2.0 lurking over at Amazon Studios, doing an equally good job of quietly destroying beloved IPs, mismanaging projects and creative relationships, and generally never missing an opportunity to inject divisive identity politics into everything that she makes. I'm talking, of course, about Jennifer Salke, the former head of Amazon Studios, who just a few days ago was finally shown the door in such spectacular fashion that her entire position was effectively eliminated.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no, how terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Damn, talk about a knockout blow, man. Not only are we getting rid of you, but we're also nuking your entire position as well. Now, the name Salke might not be quite as infamous as her counterpart over at Lucasfilm, but trust me, old Jen has managed to cause quite a bit of damage over the years. From cancelling upcoming projects that had the potential to be huge money makers, to spending money like a drunken sailor on vanity projects just to ingratiate herself with Hollywood stars, to bastardizing legacy IPs to pander to the non-existent modern audience, to clumsy attempts to turn timeless heroes into cheap commodified content, Jennifer Salke is basically the walking personification of everything wrong with the modern entertainment industry. In fact, the only real difference between her and Kathleen Kennedy is that she doesn't have quite as much leverage over her bosses, which probably explains why she was a lot easier to get rid of. So let's take a little look at some of her biggest achievements, shall we? One of her first major decisions as head of Amazon Studios was to axe the Conan the Barbarian TV series that was in development at the time. By all accounts, the show would have been pretty faithful to the original books, with lots of violence and nudity and big sweaty men of few words dealing out unreasonable amounts of aggression. Naturally, Jen decided it contained far too much toxic masculinity for modern audiences, and so it needed to go. Come on! I mean, it's called Conan the Barbarian. What the fuck did you expect it to be? A tickling contest? Anyway, that decision was pretty ironic in retrospect because one of Amazon's aspirations as a streaming service was to have their very own Game of Thrones. A high-budget fantasy with lots of intrigue and violence and mature themes, and Conan would have been the perfect vehicle for that. Not to worry though, because there was something much bigger and more disastrous on the horizon. No, not Rings of Power. That would come later. First of all, there was the Wheel of Time series, based on the best-selling fantasy novels by Robert Jordan. Whereas the books featured a huge ensemble cast led by a male protagonist, and a gendered magic system where male and female characters could only use very specific powers that were inherent to their sex, the TV show mysteriously morphed into a feminist power fantasy where women can do almost anything, are usually portrayed as smarter and more assertive than their male counterparts, and their abilities are massively enhanced beyond anything they could ever do in the books. And if you need a little hint about where the priorities of this show lie, just take a look at the promotional poster for Wheel of Time Season 3. You'd never know it, but this guy is actually supposed to be the protagonist.
Fuck.
Okay, I've put it off long enough, we can talk about Rings of Power now. Jeff Bezos was still determined to have his own Game of Thrones, and being a fan of Lord of the Rings, he decided the best solution was to force his way into the franchise with sheer financial muscle. After spending $250 million buying the TV rights to some of the appendices to Tolkien's work, he assigned Amazon Studios to turn it into a reality. So naturally, Jen made the wise decision to hire a pair of complete idiots recommended to her by J.J. Abrams with virtually no experience in the industry or understanding of the source material to oversee the most expensive and ambitious show in entertainment history. The Tolkien scholar hired to read the scripts and keep the show faithful to the books was fired after pointing out that the show was absolutely not faithful to the books. Hence the reason the whole thing gradually morphed into an intersectional feminist wet dream with black elves, emotionally fragile men, girl boss Galadriel, and misunderstood orcs who just want to be left alone in peace. And in case you're noticing a bit of a pattern with all this, you might be interested in this little interview that Jennifer gave last year at Amazon's Trailblazer event, where she outlined her thoughts on female representation in media. Big genre pieces that are global, big male action pieces, we know those things work. There's data galore to support those decisions, but it's like, let's get out there and break ground with women and see the results of that. Well, Jen, you definitely did break ground. You did your level best to turn successful male-focused IPs into female-led properties, and now we're seeing the results of it. The only problem is, those results are not the ones that you were hoping for. Then there was the spending, and holy shit did this woman love to spend money, usually on things that nobody would ever be fucking interested in. Like $130 million to buy the distribution rights for Air, a movie about Nike shoes that would go on to gross less than $100 million worldwide. Or how about her decision to spend $20 million bringing Phoebe Waller-Bridge on board to develop new shows and movies for Amazon, who in the past 6 years has accomplished a grand total of fuck all, but somehow still managed to get another $20 million renewal. Damn man, Hollywood producers must be laughing all the way to the bank after taking meetings with this girl. Or $300 million to hire the Russo Brothers to make 6 episodes of Citadel, a move that Salke's predecessor described as the most irresponsible and wasteful run of TV execs in the history of Hollywood. I'll never forget how she called the Russo Brothers a day before an upfront and made up a show they could announce before she knew what it was. That was Citadel. I mean, I totally get that Amazon is like $1 trillion company that probably makes more from online shopping in a day than they can spend on film projects in a year. But damn man, when you see the absurd amount of money that gets casually blown on ridiculous vanity projects like this, while indie filmmakers with way more passion and talent struggle just to scrape together enough money for catering, it's hard to have much sympathy for them. And then, finally, there was the Bond debacle, probably the last nail in the coffin for Salke's career. See, although Amazon bought up MGM Studios, which owns the back catalogue of Bond films, the actual movie rights were retained by the Broccoli family, specifically Barbara Broccoli. Now, I've got my own issues with Barbara and where she's taken Bond as a character in recent years, but one thing I respect her for is resisting pressure to turn the Bond franchise into some cheap commodity for exploitation. Most of that pressure, as it turns out, was coming from Salke herself, who wanted an entire Bond cinematic universe. Jesus, even Moneypenny was supposed to get her own spin-off show. Broccoli famously described Amazon as fucking idiots, and well, it's not difficult to guess who she was thinking about. Finally though, she'd had enough, gave up and signed the rights over to Amazon, but Salke's victory would prove to be short-lived. It seems like old Jeff had finally gotten a bit tired of her shit, didn't want to risk her screwing up any more franchises, and unlike Bob Iger, he was rich enough and powerful enough to just tell her to fuck off. And so, we finally say goodbye to Amazon's answer to Kathleen Kennedy. I don't imagine she'll be missed by fans of Lord of the Rings, or Wheel of Time, or Conan, or Bond, but she definitely made her mark on the studio, that's for sure. And considering one of the people now in charge of James Bond is Amy Pascal, the woman who thought Ghostbusters 2016 and a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man were both good ideas, I wouldn't be super excited for the future of that franchise just yet. But overall, it does at least give me hope that studios like Amazon are finally learning from their mistakes, getting rid of executives that have wasted billions of dollars pushing shit that nobody wants, and maybe even refocusing on talent and merit instead of identity. Time, of course, will tell. Now, some of you will probably know that last year I teamed up with a bunch of people to make and release Rogue Elements, our first little adventure in the world of crowdfunded short films. The support we got was incredible, allowing us to make something way bigger and more ambitious than we first imagined, and it's actually started some very interesting conversations with mainstream production companies. That, however, is a job for the Rogue Elements producers, and probably a small army of extremely overpaid entertainment lawyers. In the meantime though, we've decided we want to make more stuff. Because, well, it's kind of fun if I'm honest. See, Rogue Elements was kind of a trial run for us to learn how to do stuff like this, how to shoot action scenes, manage locations, what size of crew is most efficient, and all that other boring stuff that goes into making movies. It taught us a great deal about how to make independent films at this kind of scale, and more importantly, how not to make them. And now it's time to apply what we've learned. So with that in mind, we're launching a second Kickstarter campaign to fund not just one, but several short films. For we're fans of Rogue Elements, we already have a couple of scripts ready to go that'll expand on the characters from the Ryan Drake universe. But that is not all, because everyone knows a good sequel has to be bigger and bolder than its predecessor. So this time, we're bringing more people to join the party. A man, or possibly some kind of eldritch monstrosity made out of pure objectivity, with a passion for movies and good storytelling. Someone that fans of the channel, and especially Open Bar and EFAP, might just recognise.
Well, hello there, drinker.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
That's right, the long man himself has written a script for a short film that we'll be shooting over here in the UK later this year. We've already got a director attached and some very respected actors who are going to appear in it. But it's not just about massaging our own egos, don't you know? We want you to get involved in this as well. And for that reason, we're going to be opening up submissions for short film ideas from you guys, our audience. You don't have to pay anything, you don't need to sign up to any subscription plan or any of that stupid shit. All you need to do is email in your pitch for a short film when the time comes and we'll do the rest. We'll select the best of the bunch and put them for a vote with our Kickstarter backers. And the idea with the most votes gets made. It's that simple, really. One of the people watching this video right now will have their very own short film become a reality. That's right, I'm officially democratizing film production. You're welcome, worlds. So if you're interested in being part of something pretty special and unique, click the link in the description below to head over to the Kickstarter page where you'll find everything you need to know about how to become a backer, what films we plan to make, and how to enter your own ideas into the competition. As before, there's various levels you can join at, from a few dollars to help support the project, all the way up to executive producer level with lots of delicious perks and bonuses along the way, not to mention regular updates on each of the projects, behind the scenes photos and featurettes about the making of these films, interviews with the actors and directors, and exclusive live streams with Mauler and yours truly. This is by far the biggest and most ambitious thing we've attempted, but we're doing it because we believe in more than just sitting back and picking apart other people's work. We want to start making things of our own, and we want you to have that same chance, and so this right here is where it begins. Rogue Elements was a first step. This is the next, and with a little luck, is going to lead to something even bigger further down the line. So if you're tired of watching big studios with more money than sense squander billions of dollars on things that nobody wants to watch, this is your chance to start pushing back. Let's see if we can make something special happen together. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.